WNBA proposes cutting team housing and an earlier start to the season. Cutting team housing. We're giving you guys a minimum of $225,000. We're giving you guys $500,000. We're giving you guys $1 million, and you want us to pay for room and board too? What else you got? You guys want us to pay for your laundry as well?
$225,000 minimum salary, $500,000 average, $1 million max contracts. And the players' union still won't sign. The WNBA just put the most lucrative offer in league history on the table, tripling the salary cap overnight. And we finally know what's holding up the deal. It's not about the money anymore. It's about who's paying for the apartment.
Join their teams a few weeks into the... Indeed. The WNBA has proposed a 7-figure base max salary as part of a new collective bargaining agreement, but it's coming at a cost. The league has removed team housing from proposals submitted to the WNBPA, including the most recent, several league sources told Front Office Sports. Teams have been required to provide players with in-season housing since 2016. In-season housing. Shout out to CJ. Shout out to W360.
Front Office Sports broke the story last week. Multiple league sources confirmed the WNBA has removed team housing from all recent CBA proposals. Since 2016, every franchise has been required to provide in-season housing for players. That's 8 years of the league covering rent, utilities, furnished apartments. Now they're saying if you want $1 million salary, you can find your own place to live. And the Players Association is treating this like a deal breaker. Here's what makes this fascinating. The league isn't just taking something away. They're offering a trade. You want us to pay your rent, or you want us to triple your salary. Pick one. But the union is saying we want both. And that's where this negotiation has completely stalled out.
The interfering with the NCAA tournament, that, doesn't make too much sense. The league's latest proposal, reported Monday, was highlighted by salary increases, according to a source familiar with negotiations. The league's proposal includes a max base salary of $1 million, with potential earnings from revenue sharing increasing this number to $1.2 million. Multiple players per team would be eligible to sign the Supermax in 2026. The average salary is projected to exceed $500,000 with a...
Let's break down what team housing actually means. Under the current CBA, players get two options. Option 1, live in team-provided housing, fully furnished, all expenses covered. Option 2, take a monthly stipend and find your own place. That stipend ranges from $1,177 in Las Vegas to $2,600 in New York. Those numbers are based on local cost of living, and players with kids under 13 get upgraded to 2-bedroom units automatically. Now the league is proposing to eliminate all of that. No team apartments, no stipends, just straight salary. The catch? That salary is jumping from a league-wide cap of $1.5 million per team to $5 million. That's not a 10% raise. That's not even a 50% rate. The salary cap is increasing by 233%. And somehow housing is the sticking point.
Folks, based on everything that we've been shown, based on all of the reports, only one side of this negotiation seems to be, one side of these negotiating parties seems to be actually trying to move forward and get a deal. Only one side. I haven't seen anything reported from the players. I haven't seen anything reported in these articles that show the players are willing to give this up, willing to give that up. All that I've seen are the owners and the league saying, fine, we'll give you this. Fine, we'll give you that. You don't like this deal and how it's structured? Fine. Here's $1 million without the incentives.
But there's a second issue buried in this proposal that's getting less attention, and it might actually be more disruptive than the housing situation. The WNBA wants to start the season earlier, significantly earlier. Training camp would begin in mid-March under this proposal. That's a full 6 weeks before the current late April start date. Why does that matter? Because the NCAA women's basketball tournament runs through early April. The WNBA draft happens right after the championship game. And if training camps are starting in mid-March, that means rookies would be joining their professional teams weeks into the regular season. Not days, weeks. Multiple sources told Front Office Sports this proposal would have first-year players arriving to their franchises after several games have already been played. Think about what that means for player development, for team chemistry, for coaches trying to integrate their lottery picks into offensive systems. The #1 overall pick in the draft could miss the first 10 games of her professional career because she was still playing in the Final Four.
Provided housing range between $1,177 in Las Vegas to $2,600 in New York. The players most affected would be those under temporary contracts who will in many cases only be in WNBA markets for a short period of time. The league is mandated under the current CBA to use, quote, reasonable efforts to secure 30 job opportunities during the offseason, whether with sponsors or teams in leagues other than the WNBA. These employers are permitted to provide off-season housing to players as part of their employment terms. Players signed to team and league marketing agreements are also eligible.
Now here's where the league's strategy starts to make sense, even if the execution is messy. The WNBA is trying to solve a scheduling problem that's been killing them for years. They're a summer league. They start in May, they run through September, and in recent years they've pushed into October for the playoffs. That October finish is a disaster for ratings because they're going head-to-head with NFL Sunday football, baseball playoffs, and the start of the NBA season. So they want to move the season forward. Start earlier, finish earlier, stay away from the NFL juggernaut. The logic is sound. Use the momentum from March Madness to launch the WNBA season, while women's basketball is still dominating sports media coverage. Ride that wave of attention from Caitlin Clark, Paige Bueckers, whoever the next breakout college star is, and transition those viewers directly into the professional league. But they can't move backward into winter. That would put them in direct competition with college basketball, the NBA, and college football bowl season. They're landlocked. The only direction they can expand is forward into March and April, and that creates this impossible collision with the NCAA tournament.
With the current proposal, they're not even going to have any time. They're going to finish up their tournament and jump right into the season. And like I said previously, the basketball, NCAA is not changing their basketball calendar to acquiesce to the WNBA. The WNBA needs to change their calendar to comply with the NCAA and the NCAA tournament. Now, here are a couple other things, just of note.
Let's talk about what's really happening with the housing issue, because there's a subtext here that nobody's saying out loud. Team-provided housing creates a specific culture. When you put all the players from one franchise in the same apartment complex, you're essentially recreating a college dorm environment. Same building, same amenities, everyone's neighbors with their teammates. It's convenient for building chemistry. It's also convenient for other things. The phrase that keeps coming up in coverage of this story is sorority lifestyle. That's not accidental. There's a perception, fair or not, that team housing enables a particular social dynamic that might not be ideal for a league trying to position itself as a premier professional sports organization. When your players are living in team-controlled housing, the league has some responsibility for what happens in that housing. When your players are making $500,000 a year and renting their own apartments like every other professional athlete, that's on them. So let's put all the pieces together, because this negotiation is revealing something important about where the WNBA is right now as a business. The league is offering unprecedented money. $1 million max salaries would put top WNBA players in the same conversation as professional athletes in other leagues. Not NBA money, obviously, but legitimate professional sports money. The average salary exceeding $500,000 means the middle-class player in the WNBA would be making more than most Americans earn in a decade. This is a transformational offer financially, but the league is also trying to professionalize the operation. Eliminate team housing. Start the season earlier to avoid the NFL. Extend the schedule to 44 games. Add a 7-game finals series. These are all moves designed to make the WNBA look and feel like a major sports league, not a summer exhibition circuit. The players want the money without the changes. They want million-dollar salaries and team-provided apartments. They want record revenue sharing and the same May to September schedule that lets them play overseas in the winter. They want expansion to new markets and shorter travel schedule. They want everything to change and nothing to change at the same time. Here's the fundamental tension. The WNBA has been subsidized by the NBA for 25 years. It's never turned a profit as a standalone entity. The league office can point to growing attendance and improved ratings, but the bottom line is still red ink. So when the owners come to the negotiating table and say, we'll triple your salaries but you need to cover your own rent, that's not unreasonable. That's how every other professional sports league works. But the Players Association sees it differently. They see a league that just signed a $2.2 billion media rights deal with ESPN, Amazon, and they see expansion fees of $50 million per franchise for the 3 new teams joining in 2025. The housing issue is symbolic. It represents a larger question about what kind of league the WNBA wants to be. Do they want to be a scrappy underdog operation where the league takes care of players like a college program takes care of students? Or do they want to be a professional sports league where athletes are paid handsomely and expected to handle their own lives like adults? The early season start is strategic. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert knows the current schedule is killing them. Finishing in October means competing with the NFL. And that's a war the WNBA will never win. Starting in March means capitalizing on March Madness momentum. But it also means accepting that rookies will miss the beginning of their professional careers. That's a real cost. First-round picks need training camp. They need preseason. They need time to learn NBA-level offensive systems before Game 1. Starting the season while they're still in college eliminates all of that. But here's what nobody's talking about. The NCAA isn't changing their schedule. Women's college basketball isn't moving their tournament to February to accommodate the WNBA. So if the WNBA wants to start earlier, they have to accept that rookies will arrive late. There's no other option. The league can't move backward into winter without competing with the NBA. They can't stay in the current May to September window without running into the NFL. The only path forward is starting in March or early April and dealing with the rookie situation. The players have leverage right now. The current CBA expires on January 9th. If there's no deal by then, the union can strike. And a strike at the beginning of the 2025 season, right when the league is trying to capitalize on record momentum from last year, would be catastrophic. The owners know this. The players know that. That's why we're seeing the league make increasingly generous offers. But at some point the owners are going to draw a line. They're already offering to triple salaries. They're already agreeing to revenue sharing that scales with league growth. They're already expanding the playoff format and increasing the schedule. If the players' union says that's not enough because we also need team housing and we also need to keep the current schedule and we also need shorter travel and we also need more off days, eventually the answer becomes no. We can't give you everything. The housing issue specifically is interesting because it affects different players differently. Veteran stars making $1 million don't care about team housing. They're buying their own places anyway. But players on temporary contracts, the 7th through 12th roster spots who are only with a team for a few weeks, those players absolutely benefit from team-provided housing. They're not signing a lease for 2 months. They need a furnished place to stay that doesn't require a long-term commitment. So when the league eliminates team housing, they're really eliminating a benefit that helps the bottom of the roster more than the top. And that creates an interesting dynamic within the players' union. Are the stars willing to hold up the entire negotiation over a benefit that doesn't really affect them, just to protect the interests of fringe roster players? Or do they eventually say, take the $1 million max and let the role players figure out their own housing? The January 9th deadline is real. Both sides are negotiating seriously. The league has made multiple proposals, each one more generous than the last. The union hasn't shown their hand publicly, but the fact that they're rejecting offers that include $1 million salaries tells you they think they have leverage. They think the league needs this deal more than the players do. They might be right. The WNBA is in the best position it's ever been in terms of public attention and media coverage. A strike would destroy that momentum. But the players also need to be careful. Public sympathy only goes so far. When you're turning down $1 million contracts because the league won't also pay your rent, at some point fans start to lose patience. So where does this end? Most likely with a compromise. The league probably keeps some version of housing assistance, maybe a higher stipend instead of team-provided apartments. The season probably starts a little earlier, maybe late April instead of mid-May, but not so early that rookies miss significant time. The salaries probably land somewhere between the league's current offer and what the union is asking for. Both sides give a little. Both sides claim victory. And we get basketball. But if either side decides to dig in and force a confrontation, this could get ugly fast. And the biggest loser in that scenario wouldn't be the owners or the players. It would be the league itself, right when it finally has a chance to break through to mainstream relevance. That's what makes this negotiation so critical. The WNBA has never been more popular, never had more money, never had more opportunity, and they're about to find out if they can get out of their own way long enough to capitalize on it. The housing controversy is just the visible symptom of a deeper question. Is the WNBA ready to operate like a major professional sports league, with all the expectations and responsibilities that come with that? Or do they want to keep the safety net of NBA subsidies and league-provided support systems, while also demanding major league salary? You can't have it both ways forever. Eventually you have to choose what kind of business you want to be, and that choice is happening right now, in a conference room somewhere, with a January 9th deadline looming and millions of dollars on the table. We'll find out soon enough which side blinks first.